Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Esteemed Gentlemen podcast for Tuesday, March 23rd. I am your host, Scott Labrie, and joined alongside me, as always, we have Uncle Teabag, Tyler Sunt.
Uncle Teabag again.
Uncle
hello,
Teabag.
everybody. Uncle Teabag.
And we got all day Eric Deshane in the house.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I am doing fantastic. I had a mocha ice cap earlier. Those
Nice.
things probably give you diabetes, but they're freaking amazing.
Lots of sugar and lots of milk in there, yeah.
So good. And today, before we get into our topic, I just wanted to announce, because we did announce this earlier on our Facebook, but as of right now, Tyler Sunt, Uncle Teabag himself, the big cat, whatever you want to call him, he is on his way through Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time. He is on, what episode are you on right now?
I'm on episode 5 of season 3.
Season 3. He's just started the third and final season. He's gonna get through it. There's 21 episodes, I think.
21 episodes is when I checked.
So there you go. He's got 16, 17 left, whatever the math is on that. We decided, because both me and Eric have seen the show, we both love the show, and once Tyler has finished watching it his first time, we're gonna have ourselves a spoiler cast, and hopefully that's probably gonna be about 2 weeks time, depending on how fast Tyler watches that show. So we will definitely let you know when that day will be. That way you can also watch the show if you haven't seen it. This is your chance. You got like at least 2 weeks to watch it all. It's a highly binge-worthy show, so I imagine you could probably do it in the 2 weeks there. So we'd love it if you joined in on the podcast, submitted your reviews. Wait until we post the actual day. Don't get reviews too early, just in case Tyler sees some spoilers and stuff like that. But when we ask for the reviews, you will know, and you can submit it that way. And that we'll be doing, like I said, in a couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Exactly.
very exciting.
If you guys post your reviews early, I will quit and I will shit all over the show. And it will be your fault.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. But speaking of Tyler, it is his topic today. And Tyler, what is the topic of the show?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Scott. I wanted to talk about... we got to go back in history again. I love going back to the good old days. I want to know who your guys' mentor, idol, biggest heroes were when you were a kid. People that you looked up to, whether fictional, real, whether it was an actor and the characters that he played as, what made him your hero, how did he inspire you, how did he shape your character, what were some of the things you loved about them, all that fun stuff. If there's any that come to mind, I'd love to know. Because I grew up in a different time period as Scott. Obviously, Eric is only 1 year difference, probably the same as me, but he had a lot of different interests and favorite shows. So, I guess we'll start with whoever wants to go first.
I mean, I could go first. Mine is a little controversial. So I guess I'll just kind of give a little preamble. I guess growing up in my era, I didn't watch any sports or anything like that growing up as a kid. The shows that I did watch were mostly animated shows: Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, all those other stuff. We had, I had like Star Wars and stuff like that. But like I didn't have any like real life heroes, and constantly it was, bouncing one phase to the next phase. So it wasn't like my hero's Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, because like after 2 years I was done with Pokemon. So the one kind of person who or I guess the one thing that I was into that was kind of close to real life, and I put quotations around that, is pro wrestling, which is real people doing fake things.
Very nice.
Very nice. So the one hero of mine who is controversial is Chris Benoit. And
I see why now. I see what you mean now. Yeah.
if you know the history of Chris Benoit, you know exactly who why that is controversial, and I'll get into it in a little bit. But I just kind of want to explain my thought process on to why he was. So of course, I was a huge wrestling fan. At the time, it was 2002 to 2007 was kind of my era that I watched wrestling hardcore as a kid. So it was just as Stone Cold and The Rock were leaving the WWE. You had Triple H was the big bad guy. You had Shawn Michaels returning, and he was always a cool dude and stuff. But the coolest thing to me was that there was actual Canadians who were professional wrestlers, and Chris Benoit was from Edmonton. And for me, that was insane because the other Canadians, you had Chris Jericho, Edge, Christian, Trish Stratus. Those guys were, well, Jericho being from Winnipeg. Everybody else was from Toronto or Ontario. Yeah. So Chris Benoit being from Edmonton was kind of insane to me because I've been to Edmonton. Like at that point in my life, the farthest I've ever traveled was Calgary. I'd never been outside of Alberta at that point. You know, Calgary might as well have been Toronto. Like I've only ever been there like once at that point. But Edmonton, you know, I go there once every month or two, right? So it was kind of like this guy's from my own backyard, and he's in the WWE. And I love watching professional wrestling. And 2004 was Chris Benoit's year, and that would have been probably grade 5, grade 6 or so, where he won the Royal Rumble. If you're a professional wrestling fan, you know Royal Rumble. If you win it, you get to go to WrestleMania, you get the challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. And he won the Rumble from the number 1 spot. So 30 people enter at every 5-minute increments. So if you're at number 1, you're basically guaranteed to lose. The only person who's ever done that before was Shawn Michaels up until Chris Benoit did it in 2004. So it was kind of like this holy shit monumental thing. Can't believe he did it. He goes on to WrestleMania. He has one of the greatest WrestleMania main event matches with Shawn Michaels and Triple H in a triple threat match. Still to this day, it's like top 10 WrestleMania main events. There's been 35 WrestleManias at this point, so it's a great match, and it ends in like a very bittersweet moment at this time because he, you know, celebrates with his best friend Eddie Guerrero in the ring. Lots of confetti coming down. He finally climbs the mountain. He's raising the championship, and you know, this guy from Edmonton, he's the world heavyweight champion. It's amazing. And they printed a whole big thing in the Edmonton Sun that I cut out and taped on my wall and stuff like that.
Wow.
With the championship, and it was amazing.
Holy shit.
And this is where it kind of turned sour because November 2005, Eddie Guerrero passes away due to drug overdose, which hits Chris very hard. You know, him being best friends, they've been, you know, wrestling for probably like 20 years at that point together. And yeah, and then a year and a half later, June 2007, Chris would kill his wife and 7-year-old son before committing suicide himself. So I guess like this to me is kind of close to people who were fans of Kurt Cobain, I guess, you know, kind of learning that your hero, somebody you looked up to, just died or committed suicide. And it was interesting because this happened on a Monday. So they had Monday Night Raw, which was scheduled. They ended up canceling it for that night, and they did a tribute show, and they showed some of his best matches from his VHS cassette, and they had commenters doing like giving, you know, praising him and saying like kind words and stuff, because they didn't know until the next day that he murdered. What he did essentially.
Jesus.
So it was kind of sad. Like you watch that and you're like, oh man, and then the next day, then the second shoe drops essentially, and you're just like, oh fuck. Like,
yeah.
And then, you know, after that, WWE totally scrubs him from the website. Any mention of him. If you have the WWE Network, you can find some of his matches, but you can't search his name. You have to know who he fought or which date he fought them, be able to find them and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, so he's totally kind of cleaned from that. And And then one other thing they did later research undertaken by I copied and pasted this from from Wikipedia, so I can just kind of read this verbatim here. But later research undertaken by the Sports Legacy Institute suggested that depression and chronic traumatic encephalopathy (CTE) is what the acronym. I don't know most people know what CTE is. A condition of brain damage from numerous concussions Benoit had sustained during his professional wrestling career, were both likely contributing factors leading to the crimes. And he said he had the brain of a man aged 80 or older with severe Alzheimer's disease, essentially. So,
holy shit!
Yeah, and if you knew Chris Benoit, one of his finishing moves was the diving headbutt, which essentially you jump from the top of the ropes and you headbutt the guy, which definitely leads to a lot of concussions. But at the time, it wasn't that taken seriously. But now, of course, WWE is very, very, very serious about concussions in their protocol.
Right.
So yeah, that is my my controversial pick. But yeah, like I said, he was from Edmonton, and like he showed me that's like at that point, the only thing I wanted to be was a professional wrestler, and if he's from Edmonton, that means I could have done it essentially. But
right, exactly. Somebody from your own province, like 2 hours away, can do it. I mean, anybody can.
Mm-hmm. But also like. His death was also the thing that actually got me out of wrestling too. Is like, well, I don't have my guy there anymore, and I can't really celebrate this guy anymore either. I mean, there's people to this day that's like, he should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. No, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. He was a fantastic wrestler, technically sound. He made those fights look actually really real. He was amazing, but for his crimes, he definitely should not be recognized. I understand that, so.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Was not expecting that. I remember hearing about it, and then as you got closer, I'm like, and then it got controversial. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that the guy? And then you said it. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Took me that long for it to set in. Oh shit, that's a good one. That is a good one though. That just goes to show you, right? Like sometimes even your heroes, even the greatest heroes, sometimes they don't last forever, I guess, eh?
Yep. Very true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have been Michael Jordan or something?
Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously he was when you're a kid, and you latch on to somebody and you follow them, and that's I'm sure everybody has someone like that and then has let them down or done something that changed their perspective on things, right?
Definitely.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll go after that one.
Sure.
Also sport related, but not controversial. So growing up as someone with a disability, it's easy to relate to someone else who is also disabled as well. And one of my personal heroes growing up, from as long as I can remember, was a fellow Canadian by the name of Rick Hansen. I think you guys might know who he is. He in 1985 to 87, he went around the world in his wheelchair to raise money for.
I think I remember seeing kind of.
Yeah, so for those who don't know who he is, at age 15, he was riding in the back of his pickup truck with some friends. The truck rolled over, causing him to be paralyzed from the waist down, and so became a disabled athlete. Did lots of marathon racings and sporting events like that, and then he became good friends with another fellow athlete, Terry Fox. And then Fox is known for going across Canada to raise money for cancer research, and unfortunately passed away early. So Rick had the idea to start up the same idea to raise money as well for spinal cord research, and instead of going just to Canada, go all around the world instead. So sort of the Man in Motion tour, and for just about a little over 2 years, went from BC all the way around the world and back to BC again there. So rode over 40,000 kilometers within 34 countries, and he's known worldwide for an accomplishment he made back in the 80s. And I've always looked up to him for that. So I know I have had his personal book signed by him. Actually, I was a few months old, and relatives of mine went to a book signing of his and got him to sign his book for me, and that's been like one of my greatest treasures of all time since then. So I have a signed copy of his book, and that's like my go-to like reading material, inspirational stuff, and talks all about his whole life, his issues on the road when he was doing the world tour, and all the stuff like that. So yeah, for me, it was a big inspiration to kind of focus on not just athletics, but just to improve myself as a disabled person to be more than just the disability, right? So for me, that was a big one to in my life's work for that. So yeah.
And he's still alive. It's not like a Terry.
He's still alive. Yes, he's still alive. He does. He has a what's called the Rick Hansen Foundation right now, which supports not only just spinal research, but also access for disabled people through other means, whether it's access into buildings, whether it's funding for other supplies or whatever else there. So, and I'm a huge fan of his current work here right now. So yeah.
Nice.
Cool. There you go.
When you did say Rick Hansen at the start, I was like, I thought of I forget what his actual name is, but why don't you have a seat here? That guy, that Hansen dude, to catch a predator guy. What's his name?
Oh, it is Rick Hansen. It is Rick Hansen. That's right. But I think he's just like, is it Hansen?
Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen. Oh,
yeah. Chris Hansen. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's getting potential rapists off the street. Sure, I get it.
He's a hero.
I don't know.
This is Rick Hansen. Rick Hansen. Yeah. So. Yeah. No. So that was like my one go-to, like all-time inspiration for me. Then I have a few other ones. Like I know, one person I always look up to and idolize is Adam Savage from Mythbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Just this whole, like, as someone who likes creating things and being a builder, his method of thinking and how he does his stuff and his go-to. He did a speech, a TED Talk years ago, back before Mythbusters finally became big. It was one about failure and how to approach it, how to overcome it, and what to do with it. This day is like my go-to. Like whenever I'm feeling down, I need to get over something. I watch that TED Talk and it goes through like how to walk you through it and how to be better from it, right? So that's one of my favorite ones of that. Since then, I've been a huge fan of his. So yeah.
That was a very good TED Talk. I watched the same. Well, I watched the clip where he talks about like just a little 5-minute blurb of that, and it was just like, holy man, that's like the most real shit ever.
and like and he's also one for he likes to focus on one thing and go all in on it. Like the other TED Talk he did was one about the Maltese Falcon and the statue about it, and how like he just wanted to make it, but how it wasn't perfect enough. So he kept doing it better and better and worked towards it and realized how we can improve with it. And that's another one where it showed me like, yeah, the first time doesn't work. You keep trying and keep working at it, and it gets better over time. And yeah, it's great stuff from him. So yeah,
nice. Very intuitive individual, very driven and ambitious.
Yeah.
Well, the guys I look up to are nothing like that.
Eric had good picks.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Frick, here I'm like, oh, this one's easy for me. Mine was always Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know. When I was a kid, man, I thought, oh, this guy is like jacked. He's always the hero. I mostly fell in love with like the characters that he played as. Obviously, as a person, he's whatever. He's good. He's a decent enough guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just loved the movies that he was in. He was always like such a badass. And then I remember a while later, I was a little bit older, and I was at the grocery store, and I saw a Men's Health magazine, and it was celebrating Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was like all pretty much based on him and his achievements and where he started and how he got to be like Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, how many times like he was just like the world heavyweight, bodybuilding champion for so long, and Mr. Universe and all that. And I'm like, interesting. So then I asked my mom if she could buy it for me, and she's like, yeah, sure, okay, as long as you read it. And I freaking kept it, man. And I think my dad was like concerned about my sexuality because I had
pages are stuck together or something.
No, I did not jerk off to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's weird. No, nothing like that. I took his like because there's fold out posters in there too, so I like put them in. But he's like in his posing little.
Yeah. You're not helping your cause there, Tyler.
Right? I can see why he probably had his concerns. But I was just like, man, like, look at this guy. He's like a perfect machine. He created this. And ever since he was like, I think he started like lifting weights when he was about 13 or 14 around there. And then he started competing in like in different competitions for like heavyweight champion for bodybuilding. And then he was in the Austrian military. He was like a tank driver for a while. Then he saw some Hollywood movies and he's like, man, I want to go to Hollywood. I want to be in a Hollywood movie. So then that's what he did. He just went, and anything that he wanted, he fucking did it. He just decided, like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Just so that just because my English isn't good, I'm gonna learn 7 or 8 languages so that I can prove to myself, mostly to himself and to whatever, that he can do whatever he puts his mind to. And then he ended up like making a whole bunch of friends. Like he made friends with James Cameron and his trainer at the time. I can't remember his name. I should know this honestly, but yeah, like, and he's just and then he ended up becoming the governor and just, which is a little weird to me, but whatever. Like, then of course there's the controversies that came out too, and how he got his housemaid pregnant and had his son. And he kept it secret for so long, and I'm like, oh, this housemaid must have been pretty hot because Maria Shriver was a good-looking girl. And I looked, I'm like, what the fuck, Arnold? What are you doing? You're such a disaster.
Hey, man.
Fucking
right?
Yeah.
Get a pump. It's like I'm coming every time I pump. Like, yeah, that's my boy. So between Arnold Schwarzenegger, which he still is, like the guy is.
Now he's even more like so much relatable now. He's just like a cool guy. The more all the social media stuff he does, all the stuff he just posts, is like, oh man, I want to.
Yeah, and like changing his diet and trying to do well for kids and stuff, and like fundraiser after fundraiser. That's all he does with Snapchats. I unsubscribed from him on Snapchat. I used to be obsessed with him because he's just too fucking generous and too much of a good person. I'm like, oh, this is not the Arnold. I'm just kidding. But yeah, he's just like a total awesome guy. It's crazy, and he's funny too, and he does like all this stupid little pranks too, like with the car salesman. You ever watch those where he dresses up as a car salesman?
No.
And he's trying to convince people of like buying like these super terrible diesel engine vehicles and stuff, even though he's like against it. It's so he's got this fake mustache on, and he's just
I think I've seen that. Yeah,
full idiot in all of them, and it's awesome. But
remember when that guy like tried to drop kick him ever in the back? He's like, I thought somebody just slightly pushed me or something.
Yes, on Snapchat. He was doing a Snapchat, and this guy roundhouse kicked him in the back of the head. Yeah, that's right. No, that's he's always been my hero, my idol. The guy I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
So
question: when you had the posters on your wall, were you lifting weights at that time?
Nope. And you know what? I never had any inspiration because I was like, you know what? I will never achieve God status. So what's the point?
Okay, then I understand your dad a little bit more. Like if you had him on the wall, and you're like, working out. You're like, okay, he's striving for that. But no, you're just like staring at him. Arnold on your wall.
Yeah. Not saying that I was a normal kid at the time, but my girls from the Sears catalogs too, right beside.
Oh god!
Oh yeah, it gets dark, boys.
Why is the wish book pages stuck together? God damn it! What the
section?
Your poor
weird. Mother. Yeah, my poor mother. I kept that shit low-key. Don't worry. Very sneaky. Well, that's all. And the only other person that I really thought was hilarious and couldn't wait to see more stuff out of was Chris Farley. That was the other guy that I followed meticulously. That was another guy.
Another one that's
one of the last great slapstick humor guys. Yeah.
I feel bad for him too, because like you see him like the last few times you see him live and the drugs are bad. It's like, oh man, he's going downhill fast. He has to stop. But like I think was it David Letterman or I forget which night show it was. He's just coked right out. He's just live wire, like he's falling over, sweating like crazy. Like he couldn't sit still. I'm like, oh my god, that's sad to see. And then like I think a few months later he OD'd.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Yeah, I know. Adam Sandler's tribute song he made in the stand-up a few years ago. That was a good tribute to him for the show.
Yeah, because they were pretty close, those two. I think
very close. Yeah. So
all those guys on SNL were all really close. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, how about nowadays? Who do you guys look up to? Who are some of the people that you follow that you're big fans of?
Oh boy,
probably too many. Now you have access to their personal lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Barack Obama. No, I don't. I have, You're putting me on the spot, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm still, now that everything's so easily accessed, there's no
It's-
novelty
Exactly.
to it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like whenever you see something new of somebody, it's like, oh, it's a commercial. I'm going to watch this. Right now, it's like there's little YouTube videos, there's Facebook posts. They have their own personal Snapchats you can watch, and
But yeah,
Twitter.
Yeah, it's like
but it's the ones that have like that you can tell is their own. It's not done by like a company or like an added not an agent or an assistant. It's actually them. Like Ryan Reynolds is one I can think of where not only he's still fun to keep up with because it's actually him tweeting, it's him doing the stuff, right? Not just agency doing it for him, right? So
yeah,
like people like that I admire more nowadays.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Now,
sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Because now it's so easy to be fake, to be not be somebody, right? So yeah, like that's those who do the extra steps to be themselves out there is a lot more admirable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna say like probably the people that I'm like looking up to nowadays, are probably like content creators and stuff since you know that's what we're striving to do. Those who don't become sex pests and stuff like that and get out into stuff because there's been a few that have come out as that in the last couple of years and you're like, God damn it. There's another fucking channel I got on and subscribe to, but yeah, probably the one that jumps out to me is Greg Miller and Kind of Funny. Just like the amount they were one of the first people, like they quit IGN, like you're quitting a website, like a video game website, which tons of people would love to have that job, and they go totally independent. On Patreon, they become like one of the highest subscribed Patreons out there. Now they have, they're upgrading to a brand new studio. They have, I think, 10 employees now, and you know, they got a full schedule of shows and podcasts that they do every single day. So, it's something, you know, you watch them, you see like the effort they put into the stuff like that, and it's like, well, you kind of have a roadmap, I guess, and that's kind of something we hope maybe to be doing someday. So.
Yeah, another one too with Greg Miller, like his, was it a Comic-Con or RTX? I forget where we did it, but his talk about his cancer, about him going through it. That's another great one. If you could ever get a chance to see that and watch that, about how his whole process of dealing with it, that was like inspirational and really interesting to watch for sure. So it was good in my books after that for sure. So and
just like his ability to, and we'll talk about this probably on Thursday because I'm going to be talking about his fan controlled football team that they own, but his ability to round up his fans, like, you know, they're not like Kind of Funny is not the most subscribed channel out there, but their fans are so loyal and they like follow his words so much that, like, you know, they can vote for stuff and like beat out higher ranking channels and stuff just because they have such a loyal fan base that they cultivated and stuff, which is kind of cool. Yes. There you go.
There you go. Perfect.
That was a good episode. I like that a lot.
Finally had a good topic for one. Okay, I'll make a movie about your hero. No, I'm just...
Yeah. There you go. So,
nice.
Just in recap, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rick Hansen, not Chris Hansen.
Not Chris Hansen, Rick Hansen. Adam Savage, and Chris Benoit.
And the murderer, Chris Benoit.
It's quite the spectrum we got there, boys.
Yeah.
Now my Red Dead videos make more sense, right? No,
exactly. Oh my god.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. If you did, though, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. Do the same thing on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you're listening to. There's one thing somebody was listening on that I was like, what the heck? What was it called? Overcast. Never heard about it, but hey, subscribe to us on there. And we're going to be coming back here tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about, Eric, what's your topic for tomorrow?
Disappointments.
Oh, it's going to be a long one, folks.
Hopefully that episode doesn't disappoint, if you know what I'm saying. There you go. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys.